Hello, welcome to another Uncomfortably Candid podcast. I'm happy to be here today. I want to talk to you. We're still on the vulnerability bandwagon, and today I want to talk to you about thinking about vulnerability like you do forgiveness. And I'm going to explain this. When you forgive someone, you aren't asking permission and you're not expecting anything in return. So your expectations are just that you want to forgive them for yourself. You're doing it for yourself. And this is not me saying that you say whatever you want to say, mean, hurtful things, and that you don't take the time to ask the question about timing, like we talked about last week, about whether it's going to be beneficial at this moment to have this conversation. This is once you've already asked these things and the person that you are expressing yourself to is emotionally unaware, not really emotionally intelligent, and just doesn't know how to respond to healthy expression. You can't, in the same way you want to be patient and have self-control and ask the question if it's a beneficial time, you can't wait on the other person to become emotionally available, or not emotionally available, emotionally intelligent and safe for you to express yourself, because that leads to bitterness and resentment. And so, in order for you to express yourself in a healthy way and not get disappointed by this emotionally unaware person, I've learned, and I try and help my clients learn how to reframe their expectations and redefine their expectations of certain people. And this is one way to do it. And this is not for every one of your relationships. This is for people who, like I said, are just emotionally unaware and haven't really done much work on expressing themselves. I have to do this with my sweet grandmother, and I love her to death, but I don't always know how she's going to respond to me expressing my feelings. And so I've learned to just not expect what I've learned to not expect a certain response from her, because she's unable to do that. And I've realized that. And so I've also realized that when you expect a certain response in return, and 99.9% of the time when we're vulnerable, we're expecting a certain response from the person we're vulnerable with. And as people pleasers, we try and manipulate and control other people by not having any needs and suppressing our negative emotions and being pleasant. But on the other end of the spectrum, you can't try and manipulate and control someone by being vulnerable either. By thinking they should respond in a certain way, because that's manipulation and control too. It's just through vulnerability and saying, oh, well, I expressed myself to you and, you know, you're not changing or you didn't apologize. And that's unhealthy too, because trying to control anyone but yourself is a way to be disappointed because we're only able to control ourselves anyway. So I I just want to empower you to be authentic, to be candid, to be vulnerable because it is so important. Not only in your relationships, but with yourself. Being vulnerable about your dreams, about your goals, and your expectations in life, and being able to redefine those expectations when you need to. And I think I've had to learn how to do that because having expectations and and others not meeting those expectations, it's disappointing. And then not having expectations of others is disappointing. But you have to learn that it's okay to redefine expectations within your relationships. So I hope this allows you to do that. And I hope this gives you permission to express yourself and not need an apology and not to make someone feel guilty, but to again make a choice, make an autonomous decision that I'm going to say what I need to say because I need to do it for me to get it off my chest. And then it's going to be over. And I'm not going to expect anything in response to it. And I'm going to continue to practice vulnerability regardless of the responses that I get. I've done some research on vulnerability, and most people perceive their vulnerability as a weakness, and they perceive others' vulnerability as a strength. And it's all about how our vulnerability is perceived. So if we feel like our vulnerability is perceived in a positive light, then we will continue to be vulnerable. And this perception of how our vulnerability is perceived can really limit, our connection with people if we think that our vulnerability is a weakness. So that's why it's important to redefine these expectations and to not always care how you are perceived, but that it's more important to express yourself in a healthy way and hopefully if the person is emotionally unaware, they will learn from your actions and from you being a role model than it is to worry about whether you're seen in a positive light. So yeah, I hope this makes you feel empowered, and I will see you next time.